Hello, my friends. Jacob's here one more time. Can you believe it? It's like one after the other after the other. You know why? Because celebrities are very, very strange and a tad disturbing. We need to talk about Madonna. Madonna, who right now is celebrating her 4 decades of music, her 40th year. She's actually on tour. Strange about this was I was just driving minding my own business in the Kia Soul. I was in the depths of my soul, and I was praying and I was thinking, and all of a sudden on the radio I hear about Madonna's tour and how she's going out there after four decades, 40 years, and I think 40 years. It's the wilderness journey. 40 years, Israel, they wandered in the wilderness until they entered into the promised land. 40 is very symbolic for birth. There's 40 weeks in pregnancy. 40 is huge. 40 days, 40 nights of temptation. So that was the first thing that came to mind. The next thing that came to mind was the fact that Madonna represents something. Even her name represents something. And to many people, especially in other countries, it's not the greatest. These celebrities, they do some things that are just downright disturbing and make people feel very uncomfortable. And I gotta tell you, her Vanity Fair shoot that she just had, well, it was upsetting, and it upset a lot of people. The images that she used, she recreated the Virgin Mary. Right? This has been her motif. She's done this for a long time. You know that I've shared on the channel how Mary is also known in other faiths or other belief systems from earlier. Isis, Mary is Artemis. These archetypes, they follow. There probably was a lady named Mary who probably gave birth to Jesus. I'm not disputing that fact. I'm okay with it, but what I'm saying is what they've turned Mary into is now people worship Mary, right? So of course, what do they worship? They worship the stars. So of course you have to have the Madonna being worshipped today. The cover of the magazine alone. It's ironic that, the name Mary itself means man's rebellion. Christ is birthed out of man's rebellion. Isn't that interesting? I just did a show about 6 months ago about the Pope, where they were going to consecrate Mary for Mother Russia. That was the thing. They were going to do this because, there was an apocalyptic prophecy about the Fatima story. Yeah, there's an apocalyptic prophecy, and if it wasn't done, so the Pope single-handedly ended the apocalypse. I got news for you. He didn't do that. But it's ironic because I've been talking a lot about this Mary worship, this Holy Mother worship. You see the celebrities wear the headgears all the time, like Beyonce and so many others. So Madonna doing this, but it's disturbing. You can't believe it. You're like, at some point, you should probably think maybe this is in bad taste. I mean, like recreating the Last Supper with her smack dab in the middle, and it looks like, it looks just like people are just doing stuff they shouldn't do. Just gives a feel of just indulgence and lust and just perversion. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem right. And a lot of people are having a problem with it. That's why it made the news. Seems like the consecration of Mary, which is basically where you perform a pledge you perform a pledge that you perform all your actions through Mary, in Mary, and for Mary. And by doing this through Mary, for Mary, then you're doing it for Christ. That's the idea. I'm not gonna, poo-poo anybody's religious beliefs. I am not a member of the religious system. You would not classify me in the religious world as a Christian. You wouldn't classify me as a Muslim. You wouldn't classify me as a Jew, because the religious system is twisted. So when you see these depictions of Mary on the Vanity Fair shoot, where it's like she's like half dressed. One time she's hanging from a rope. She's surrounded by a bunch of matadors. Even Joseph Paul Watson shared a picture where you got all these babies and they look like baby heads on her outfit, and it's just just unsettling. There's something wrong with this picture. You want to think the best about people, but you don't understand why that this is what is celebrated and promoted. That this is what we're going to put on the cover of the magazine that everybody's going to now see, and now Jacob's going to do a video, and now you have to see it too. Religion has done a really good job. It means to bind, a really good job of messing things up. So it's no wonder that you got people like Madonna and all these other people who go like the exact opposite direction because of the corruption that you find in the Catholic Church and other churches. All you got to do is type in scandal and preacher or scandal and pastor. You're going to find some. Most of the time, the people that are preaching and sharing, they're not really on the level to begin with because they're there for the wrong reasons. God help me to be here for the right reasons, to get people to come to know you, to come to know God, to come to know the truth. But Madonna doing gross stuff. Not to mention the fact that I just stumbled upon an article from Evie magazine where, there's like an organization, she adopted a lot of children from Malawi, and it was like a big deal and a big scandal. And it ended up in court and a lot of other things. People accused her of some horrible things, like think the most horrible. And in this article from Evie magazine, there's a group called the EWF, where they're asking the Malawian president, Lazarus Chakwera, to investigate Madonna's charity and restrict her and her associates' accessibility to Africa and African children as a precautionary measure until there's a thorough investigation done into possible trafficking. And worse, the article is ugly. And then they show pictures of her, one of her oldest children, where they said that she exploited him. Or her, I don't know, because her is dressed in a dress, and it's just, you wonder, you think to yourself, you want to believe that they're doing the right thing by these children, but you hear these horrible stories. Even Joan Crawford's daughter, Joan Crawford, no more wire hangers. Remember how she was she wrote a book and it was revealed a lot about Hollywood and a lot how, narcissistic people maybe are just getting children for the wrong reasons, to maybe virtual signal. I'm not saying that's the case. And I'm not saying that Madonna's a terrible mother and did terrible things. I find her to be very odd and she makes me incredibly uncomfortable. And I think the material that she shares and has shared, and it just seems to get darker over the years. I feel like it is just from the pits. I don't feel like it's uplifting, but maybe that's my own ignorance, right? You have to tell me in the comments section if you think there's some redeeming quality to this art. I find it very offensive. I find it uncomfortable. Just like I did with Jamie Lee Curtis. You know her. She just went viral. She shared a picture on, I don't know, her Instagram or whatever else it is. And in the picture, she was talking about how she just had the old virus of the crown, even though she's always for the other thing. But she had it, I guess, and she was upset. And she's like, well, screw it. Here's a picture of my office, and this is how I got my chairs. But everybody was focused on the picture on the wall, which looked like, some people said, a child without any clothes on in a suitcase. And so she took the Instagram picture down. She came up with a whole explanation. She said, look, it was an artist. The artist basically gave it to her, and it was from a picture of a mother whose child was playing in a basin of water and thought it was cute, thought it was a very natural, beautiful moment, and shared this. Now, that may be the case. But you have these societal norms where this is your office, people come in and meet with you, and you got a child nude in a very cramped space. It just looks bad. So are these people doing the wrong thing? You look at the people that are advising our government officials, like the artwork, some of the stuff that these these bigwigs, these celebrities, these hotshots, these movers and shakers and influencers of the past. Because I think a new day is rising where a new influencer is going to come. I think that a new day is rising where if they be corrupt, they're going to be revealed for what they are. I believe a new day is rising when people are going to put morality and compassion and empathy above narcissism, greed, and lust. I believe that day is coming. And I believe that for it to come, a lot of stuff needs to be revealed. So I don't know if, these images and everything else, if they do to you what they do to me, it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. It makes me uncomfortable. Very, very much so. So you got to tell me in the comment section what you think about all this. But spiritually speaking, when you have someone who, many people say was a little bit loose with her sexuality and other things, and some people call her a naughty word, which rhymes with, an or of Babylon. Some people say that she's like a picture of that. Is that the case? I don't know. But if I say that, how do I win somebody back to morality again, to peace again, to hope, to kindness again? I don't know. I think we need to work on judgment. I know I'm trying to work on judgment. I'm trying not to say the worst thing when I see these things, because maybe it's not the worst. But in my case, I think the world is a hot mess, and I believe that all of us need to do better. So you tell me in the comment section what you think. You think you're going to go see Madonna on tour after 40 years? You think? I'm not going to go. I'm just not really a fan. I got to be honest. But she's an icon, right? She's an idol. And that's probably what the problem is today. So do you find it strange at all that she is reimagining the Last Supper and all of these other things in such a way? I don't, because that's the way the world is. They want you to consecrate, the rebellion of man. Mary, consecrate the rebellion of man in a roundabout way, as opposed to seeing that we are the bride of Christ and we're supposed to consecrate ourselves, not to our ego and our lusts and our passions, but to God. God who is love, who is justice, who is truth, who is not in the box of any kind of label, all right? It's time to have a covenant with God. Don't tell me you're a Christian, okay? Don't tell me you're a Jew. Don't tell me you're a Muslim. Tell me that you are seeking the truth no matter what the cost, that you've given your life to God, because that's the relationship that I have. It's a covenant. Jacob had one too. Abraham had one too. Isaac had one too. Moses had one too. It's a covenant. It's a contract, and it's binding. And we can't fail because Christ died in us, for us. We're crucified with Christ. Understand that. The truth of who you are at your core, Christ who is our life. Your life was literally crucified inside of you for the idea of you. Maybe it's time that the ego of man takes a back seat and lets God steer the ship. What do you say? I love each and every one of you. I hope you can, help me out by sharing the channel around, hitting the like button, leaving a comment, doing what you got to do. And if you have any questions or anything else, you can email me. All that stuff's in the description of the video. Get yourself some merch. Get yourself a copy of The Calling, available on Amazon. Do the things to help the channel out. I appreciate it. I love you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
September 10th. Mars hangs closer to the Earth than it has in 6,000 years. Like the light that led men from the east to a child in a manger, it could well be a sign of good things to come. Thomas James shall be his name. The world will change because of him. In the small town of Bethel, in a time not unlike our own, a child with a great purpose is born. Years later, alienated by his peers and abused, Thomas suffers a devastating loss. When it appears he has nothing left to live for in the world, this is when his true calling begins. while trying to escape the sinister powers that be, a terrifying vision haunts him. Miraculous events seem to follow the peculiar young man as he struggles to come to terms with what he was born to do. The stage is set. The time is at hand. The truth will rise and a revolution will begin. The startling revelation of who Thomas James is, truly, will change the lives of those around him and set off a chain of events long ago foretold. There is more to this novel than one might think. Inside these pages hides a treasure just waiting to be discovered. So if you've ever wondered if there's more to life, or why it is we suffer, then this story will not only captivate you, it may just open your eyes to a truth that could set you free. Find out what is in us all that makes us heed the calling.